Why would a cowboy kiss a woman everyone laughed at, right there in the middle of town? Rosalie Morty heard the whispers before she even reached the counter of the mercantile. The low voices curled through the store like rattlesnakes hiding in dry grass. She stretched up to take a tin of baking powder from the top shelf. At 6 feet tall, she never needed a stepladder, but that only made the stairs sharper. "Lord Almighty, she is tall as a cottonwood," Mrs. Peterson whispered to Mrs. Daniels. "No wonder she is not married. What man wants to look up to his wife?" The words hit Rosalie like a slap. She kept her back straight the way her mother taught her. But the heat on her cheeks gave her away. She was only 22, but most folks in Silver Creek, Wyoming already called her a spinster. Not because she was plain. With her thick chestnut hair and warm amber eyes, many thought she was striking. But she was taller than every single bachelor in town, and that was enough for people to judge her. She set the tin on the counter. Mr. Halcombe, the storekeeper, did not lift his eyes higher than her collarbone. "5 cents for the baking powder, Miss Morty." Rosalie counted her coins when the bell over the door rang. The whole mercantile went silent as Isaac Keller stepped inside. Dust from the trail still clung to his clothes. His blue eyes stood out against his sun-browned skin, bright and clear. He was the only man in town who could look Rosalie almost level in the eye. At 6'3", he matched her in height in a way that always made her feel less out of place. "Afternoon, ladies," Isaac said with a polite nod. The women who had been whispering suddenly pretended to fix their bonnets or study canned goods. "Good to see you back, Isaac," Mr. Halcombe said, paying full attention to him. "How was the cattle drive?" Quote, "Fair. Got good prices in Cheyenne," Isaac answered. He stepped to the counter, stopping right beside Rosalie. Standing next to him made her heart beat faster. They looked like a matching pair in height, and she was sure everyone noticed. She wished she could shrink, but she refused to hunch her shoulders. "Miss Morty," Isaac said with a small nod. "Mr. Keller," she replied softly. "Excuse me." She turned to leave, but her elbow brushed a stack of tinned peaches. The cans crashed to the floor. The noise rang through the store like a gunshot. Laughter burst from Mrs. Peterson and her group. "Graceful as a newborn colt," one woman said cruelly. "Poor thing, probably cannot see her own feet." Rosalie dropped to her knees to gather the cans. Her long skirt spread around her like a blanket on the floor. Before she could reach for the second tin, a hand appeared beside hers. "Let me help you, Miss Morty," Isaac said quietly, his voice low so only she heard. His tone held no pity, only calm respect. "You don't have to," she whispered. "I know I don't." He helped her stack the tins again. When they stood, their height difference was almost nothing. The women watching fell silent. "How was your father's orchard?" Isaac asked, as if they were having a private chat at home. "I heard the late frost did not hurt the trees too badly." Rosalie blinked, surprised he knew. "The apples are blooming well. Papa thinks we will have a good harvest." "Glad to hear it. Your father's apples make the best pies in the territory." Her lips lifted into a small smile. "Mama would agree with you." Before she could thank him, the bell rang again. 3 cowhands from the Circle B ranch entered. Their leader, Tucker, spotted Rosalie and smirked. "Look, boys, it's the Morty Giantess. Bet she could wrestle a steer better than Johnson here." The cowboys laughed. Rosalie kept her eyes on the wooden floor, wishing she could vanish. Isaac's voice cut through the room, calm but sharp enough to stop the laughter. "Tucker, I need an extra hand at the running K for harvest. Johnson, are you interested? I hear you are decent with horses." The men turned their attention to Isaac. While they talked, Rosalie slipped out into the sunlight. She had only gone a few steps when she heard boots behind her. "Miss Morty, please wait." Rosalie turned. Isaac walked toward her with long, easy strides. Up close, she saw the small scar through his right eyebrow and tiny flecks of gray in his blue eyes. At 32, he carried himself with steady confidence. "I wanted to apologize for what happened in there," he said. "You did nothing wrong," she said stiffly. "People will talk. I am used to it." "They should not speak that way," It is unkind. I don't need your pity. It is not pity. It is called respect. He stepped closer. The street was quiet. Most townsfolk were watching the stagecoach down the road. Isaac lifted his hand, slowly, as if giving her time to pull away. Then, with gentle care, he leaned forward and kissed her forehead. It was soft, warm, quick, but it felt like the world stopped for a moment. Rosalie froze. No man had ever done something so tender for her. He stepped back. "Have a good day, Miss Morty," Isaac said. He placed his hat back on his head and walked away, leaving her standing still with her hand pressed to the spot he kissed. That night, Rosalie lay awake in her small bedroom beside the orchard. The cicadas sang outside her window, but the only thing she heard was the echo of that soft kiss. She told herself it was only kindness, maybe even pity, but she could not forget the calm look in his eyes. Her mother, Sophia, came in quietly. "You were quiet at supper. Something trouble you?" Rosalie hesitated, then whispered, "Isaac Keller kissed my forehead today." Her mother's eyes widened. "The rancher? This is interesting." "It did not mean anything. Women laughed at me again in town." He stood up for me, then kissed me. Sophia sat beside her and touched her hand. "And this troubles you because?" "It feels strange. Why would a man like him show kindness to someone like me? I am too tall, too awkward. Men stare only to make jokes." Sophia tipped her chin up gently. "You are tall, yes. You are strong. You reach higher than others, in many ways. The right man will not care if he must stretch to kiss you. He will be glad for the view when he reaches you." For the first time that day, Rosalie smiled. The next morning, Rosalie went to the orchard to help her father, Marco. The sun was warm, and working with the trees always calmed her. Around midday, she heard a horse approach. She looked up and froze. Isaac Keller rode along the fence line and stopped. "Morning, Mr. Morty. Miss Morty," he called. Marco beamed. "Isaac, come in. We are taking a break." Rosalie wanted to run, but it was too late. Isaac tied his horse and joined them. He greeted her parents politely, but his eyes kept pulling toward Rosalie. When he finally asked if they could walk and speak alone for a moment, her heart thudded in her chest. They walked between the apple trees in silence until Isaac spoke. "I came to be sure I did not embarrass you yesterday." "You did not," she said, her voice softer. "I should have asked before kissing your forehead." Rosalie laughed lightly. "No one asks for that." He smiled, then his expression turned serious. "I wanted to show you that you deserve respect and kindness." Rosalie looked at him with confusion and hope mixing in her chest. "Miss Morty," he said, "may I call on you properly?" Her breath caught. This cowboy wanted to court her. And for the first time in her life, Rosalie dared to believe she might be truly seen. Rosalie could hardly believe what Isaac had asked. No man had ever wanted to court her before. She stared at him among the apple trees, her heart thudding so loudly she thought he might hear it. "You want to call on me?" she asked, needing to hear it again. "Yes," Isaac said, "if you are willing. I would like to visit you properly, with your parents' permission." Rosalie had dreamed of such words one day, but she never imagined they would come from a man like him. Isaac Keller could choose any woman in the Wyoming Territory. Why her? I think I would like that," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Relief and warmth crossed his face. He gave a small nod. "I will speak to your father before I leave today." They walked back toward the house. Rosalie's steps felt light. Her father and mother sat on the porch with lemonade and cookies waiting. Isaac explained his intentions with respect, asking permission to call on Rosalie. Marco and Sophia shared a look. Marco's chest puffed with pride. "You may call on our daughter," Marco said with a smile, "as long as visits are decent and proper." Isaac agreed with sincerity. After he left that afternoon, Rosalie walked to her room, sat on her bed, and pressed both hands to her face, trying to calm the rush of joy inside her. Her mother soon entered with gentle eyes. "So," Sophia asked softly, "the cowboy with the quiet eyes wishes to court my daughter?" Rosalie nodded, cheeks pink. "Mama, why would he choose me?" Sophia sat beside her. "Why not you? You are kind, loyal, hard-working. You see the world with a soft heart." "But my height is a gift, Rosalie. Only small people inside feel the need to laugh at others for things they cannot change." Rosalie looked down at her hands. "I hope I do not disappoint him." Sophia took her face in her hands. "No man asks to court a woman unless she already makes him feel something special." Quote, "From that Sunday on, Isaac came to the orchard every week after church. Sometimes he brought a small gift, a ribbon the color of wildflowers, a jar of honey from his ranch, a book of poems he thought she might like. They sat on the porch or walked the orchard, speaking for hours. Isaac told her stories about his ranch, the Running K, which he had built from almost nothing after the war. He had come west with only a tired horse, a bad leg, and a dream. Rosalie listened, amazed by his strength and quiet courage. He told her he liked horses more than most people because horses did not judge. They trusted based on character alone. "That is how people should be," Rosalie said. Isaac looked at her. "That is how I choose to be." One afternoon as they walked, Rosalie dared to ask, "Why did you never marry before?" Isaac leaned his shoulder against a tree. "I was engaged once, years ago. She came west to visit, but she did not stay. She said life here was too rough, too far from comfort. She returned east." "Did it hurt?" Rosalie asked quietly. "For a time," Isaac admitted. "But now I am glad. Sometimes the wrong person leaves so the right one can arrive." Rosalie felt heat rise in her face. "And who is the right one, Isaac?" He met her gaze. "The one who sees me. The one I cannot stop thinking about." She did not answer, but he didn't need her to. Her smile told him everything. As summer passed into early fall, Isaac invited Rosalie and her parents to dinner at the Running K. The ranch was large, with wide pastures and strong fences. Rosalie felt small next to the big life Isaac had built, but he walked beside her proudly. After dinner, he took her to a hill that overlooked the valley. The sunset painted the sky orange and gold. Standing there, side by side, Rosalie felt like she was seeing a future she never thought she'd have. "I come here to think," Isaac said softly, "to make decisions." "What decision are you thinking of now?" she asked. He took a slow breath. "One about my future, and about who I want in it." Rosalie's heart fluttered, but before he could say more, her mother called them back for dessert. The moment lingered in her mind the whole night. But not everyone was happy for them. Tucker, the same man who had mocked her before, now seemed angry whenever he saw them. One afternoon, as Rosalie passed by the saloon, she heard his voice loudly saying to others, "Heard Keller is building a taller doorway for his house. Must be so his giant wife won't hit her head." The men laughed. Before Rosalie could turn away, Isaac stepped through the crowd, his eyes hard. "You will apologize to Miss Morty," he said quietly. Tucker scoffed. "For what? Telling the truth?" Isaac grabbed his shirt, pulling him forward. "Apologize." Rosalie touched Isaac's arm. "Please, he is not worth it." Isaac released Tucker. He led Rosalie away, jaw tense. "I am sorry," Isaac said once they were down the street. "Hearing anyone speak of you that way makes something inside me boil." "You showed restraint," Rosalie said softly. "That means more to me than fighting." Isaac stopped and looked at her with warmth in his eyes. "Rosalie, you need to know something. I don't care what people say. I don't care how tall you are. When I look at you, I see the woman I love." The words stole her breath. Love. No one had ever spoken that word to her with such truth. The following week, at the same hill where they once watched the sunset, Isaac finally found the courage to finish the words he had tried to say before. They stood under the early evening sky. The valley glowed, and the apple trees in the distance were full and ready for harvest. "Rosalie," he said, taking her hand, "these past months have been the happiest of my life. You are kind, strong, and gentle in all the ways that matter. When I am with you, I feel like I am home. I love you." Tears filled her eyes. "I love you too," she whispered. Isaac knelt on one knee. "Rosalie Morty, will you marry me?" Rosalie covered her mouth with both hands. After all the years of whispers, laughter, and cruel jokes, after being told she was too different to be loved, here was a man asking to spend his life with her. "Yes," she said with full heart. "Yes, Isaac, I will marry you." Quote, he stood and kissed her, not on the forehead this time, but on the lips, tender and full of promise. That night, she went to sleep knowing her life had changed forever. Wait, before we move on, what do you think about the story so far? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm really curious to know. The weeks leading to the wedding passed quickly. Silver Creek buzzed with talk of the match between Isaac Keller and Rosalie Morty. Some offered warm wishes. Others, who once mocked Rosalie, now acted friendly and eager to be invited. Rosalie noticed, but chose not to hold bitterness in her heart. She focused on her future with Isaac, not the past. The wedding was set for October, after the apple harvest. Sophia and Lucia Santos worked together on the dress. They used ivory silk ordered from Denver, with lace from Sophia's own wedding gown sewn at the collar and sleeves. When Rosalie tried it on, she stared at herself in the mirror with disbelief. For the first time, she felt beautiful in a way no laughter could touch. But 2 weeks before the wedding, disaster struck. A fire broke out at the Running K's hay barn. The wind carried sparks fast across the dry ground. Isaac and his men fought the flames all night. They saved the cattle, but the barn fell, collapsing into glowing ash. Winter feed burned with it. The news reached the orchard before dawn. Rosalie hurried to the ranch. Smoke still drifted in the morning air. The men looked exhausted, clothes black with soot. Isaac stood near the ruins, his face dark with ash, eyes tired. "Isaac," Rosalie said, breathless, "are you hurt?" "No," he said. "We saved the stock. That's what matters." Rosalie looked at the burned barn. "What will you do for winter feed?" "I'll try to buy some, if any ranch has extra this late. Maybe sell part of the herd." Rosalie placed her hand gently on his arm. "You won't face this alone. I'm here. Whatever comes, we face it together." That is what marriage means. Isaac's hardened expression softened. "I know. I just don't want to bring hardship into our marriage before it begins." "Hardship has nothing to do with love," Rosalie said. "We will find a way." Quote, the town surprised them with kindness. Neighboring ranchers shared hay. The mercantile gave credit for supplies. Even Tucker and his men came one day to help raise the frame of the new barn. He avoided Rosalie's eyes, but he worked hard. When the new barn stood, Isaac shook Tucker's hand. "Thank you," he said. Tucker cleared his throat. "Winter's coming. No point feuding when the land's against us." The wedding day arrived bright and crisp. Golden leaves covered the orchard ground like a soft carpet. Guests filled the small church. When the doors opened, Rosalie walked down the aisle on her father's arm. Her height no longer felt like something to hide. Isaac stood waiting, love shining in his blue eyes. Their vows were simple and pure. When the Reverend said, "You may kiss the bride," Isaac lifted Rosalie's face in his hands and kissed her with a tenderness that made the whole church fall silent. The celebration took place under the apple trees. There was food, music, and dancing. Later, Isaac led Rosalie into a slow dance. With her head resting near his, they fit together perfectly. "Happy?" he whispered. "More than I ever dreamed," she said. Life as husband and wife began with warmth and learning. Rosalie adjusted to running a ranch home, with Lucia teaching her how to manage meals for ranch hands and keep the house. Isaac learned to make decisions not as one man alone, but as the head of a family with a partner beside him. Isaac had a new bed made, extra long so their feet would not hang over. Rosalie laughed the first night, realizing he had planned it before they married. Winter brought heavy snows, but their home was warm. On Christmas Eve, while the wind howled outside, Isaac handed Rosalie a small wrapped box. Inside was a gold locket with tiny portraits of her parents on one side and Isaac on the other. "So you never feel far from home," he said. Rosalie had a gift, too. She placed Isaac's hand on her stomach. "We're going to have a baby." For a moment he froze. Then joy burst from him so strongly that he lifted her off her feet. His eyes shined with tears as he knelt and kissed her stomach. "Hello, little one. I'm your papa." Their daughter was born in July. They named her Sophia Isabella. She had Isaac's blue eyes and Rosalie's dark hair. People said she would be tall one day. Rosalie smiled. "Good, she will reach high in life." Isaac carried the baby everywhere, showing her the ranch and animals. Rosalie watched him and felt her heart pour over with love. 3 years later, Rosalie gave birth to a son, Marco Isaac. Life grew fuller and louder, with 2 little ones running around. Rosalie found joy in motherhood, even on the tiring days. Isaac often said, "Our home is the brightest place in the territory." Time passed, and the running K prospered. The apple trees Rosalie planted on the South Hill finally bore fruit. Soon, the ranch sold apples along with beef. Isaac often said she brought growth and sweetness into his life, just like her trees. Their love deepened through the years. They faced hardships, bitter winters, sick cattle, and one drought year, but they faced them side by side, never alone. By their 5th anniversary, the same townsfolk who once mocked Rosalie now admired her strength and kindness. Mrs. Peterson, once the loudest critic, now invited Rosalie to quilting circles with a friendly smile. People changed because they had watched Rosalie live with grace, and Isaac stand by her with unwavering respect. The memory of that first kiss on her forehead still lived in Rosalie's heart. One spring day, as they picnicked under the apple trees with their children, Rosalie teased Isaac. "You caused quite the scandal that day in the Mercantile." Isaac laughed. "Best scandal of my life." Years later, their family grew again. Another daughter, Elizabeth, then twins, James and Joseph. Their house expanded, with a tall doorway Isaac built, to fit life comfortably, as he said. 10 years after their wedding, Silver Creek had grown into a busy town. Newcomers stared at Rosalie sometimes, but the townsfolk quickly set them straight. Everyone now saw her as a leader, a mother, a kind heart, and the respected wife of a good man. One evening, Rosalie and Isaac sat together on the porch watching the sunset. Their children laughed inside. The house glowed with life. "You ever regret marrying me?" Rosalie asked softly. Isaac turned to her, his expression full of love. "Not for one breath. You are the best choice I ever made. Because you are the woman who stands tall in all the ways that matter." Rosalie leaned her head on his shoulder. "I love you, Isaac." "I love you, Rosalie," height and all. From inside came the sound of their children calling, "Mama, Papa, come see." They stood hand in hand and went inside their home, a home built with love, respect, and a kiss that once changed everything. Rosalie had been laughed at for being different, but that difference led her to a man who saw her heart. One soft kiss on her forehead had opened the door to a life she once believed she would never have. And she would not change a single inch of her journey.